Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case, looking at the latest news and discussions, and we're on the front page to begin with on Reddit. Credit to them. Catching up on discussions. I've got it adjusted to the latest 2 days ago, so not been as active recently, but of course my coverage has on YouTube. I've been looking at things from different angles and perspectives, and credit to the people that have posted here or there or reposted this, even images, screenshots, because it just helps make it much more efficient and then able to piece it together and make more sense of it. And shout out to all the people who have commented on my videos and answered questions. That helps as well. So for those that are watching right now, as we go through some of these key points here and try and understand what's going on, looking at the comments and just get a general idea. We don't have to go too heavy today like that time with the like 200 comments. That was a bit too much, so keep a bit more regulated and a range of different topics to get through, bunch it all together, and then I can do some more focused videos some other time. Right now, welcome if you are here in this live premiere. Share your thoughts, opinions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen, and if you want to share any comments or questions, leave them down below. You want to elaborate, let me know under this video in the comment section. You'll also find a pinned comment by me down below with some additional links if you want to support this channel. And last but not least, if you want to catch up on my earlier videos today, one of which a completely different case, looking at an interesting dark side of someone, and then my other video earlier today being about Noah Presgrove and Jasmine Milan, some possibly to some people never seen before photos. If you're interested in that type of stuff and want to learn more, just look to the top right corner of the screen where the eye symbol is. Hover over it, click on it, you'll find those video links and as well the playlist, what I've done of the whole case, all the videos there. So, I think that pretty much clears that all up. Where do we go right now? We just work our way down, I guess. Questions and a wild theory. What could that be about? Clarification request. Right, so maybe a lack of certainty, but let's just read it, because I was looking at theories and ideas. Some people like to roll their eyes back like The Undertaker, but, you know, I think it's quite interesting to come across them, because some can turn out to be true, and others can help in debunking something with evidence that may come along the way. To be honest, theories and ideas are what come in place during times of silence when the likes of the authorities or police can't be bothered to give any news updates, and then other times where news for legal reasons can't be revealed. So you can't just twiddling your fingers in between, so why not think of stuff instead of just sitting there doing nothing? It doesn't cause any harm providing appropriate language is used. So what's here? Who was the poster? God. Oh, there we go. God has answered. So I just started reading about the horrific death tonight. I have a couple of questions. I'm hoping there'll be answers. Number one, how does JN, Jack Newton, explain arriving at the scene after the 911 call, but before police arrived? Was he on his way to meet his father to fish? Likely not, because when Jack was supposedly going to go fishing, he sent a text to his father at around 5:53. And that's almost like an hour after Jack got back to the party house, in which at 5:15 he told people at the party that Noah is dead. So I feel at the time of when Jack was supposedly down the highway, came across Noah's body, that was not on the way down to the fishing trip, because that was too early in the morning to be going fishing. It was later on. So yeah, number two, has Caden Pressey, KP, confirmed or denied an ATV accident or the shower? I think he mentioned going to bed at 3 in the morning, so the ATV shower incidents would have happened before he went to bed, right? Well, it could have happened just after 3 in the morning. If Caden hasn't recalled anything about it, that's likely because it happened at the time of when he was asleep, so he wouldn't have witnessed it. This whole thing is so baffling. The actual factual evidence points to him being run over. Does it? I've never heard that. And likely at a separate location from where he was found. but I cannot for the life of me understand the shorts. My best guess is he was ran over at the party, maybe accidentally, maybe purposefully, and someone immediately took his body to be disposed of while someone else cleaned up the loose hair and teeth when they just threw everything out by the body, including a pair of shorts, because they knew it would look weird for him to have no clothes around him. But to say threw shorts nearby, that would be wrong, because it was said in the autopsy that there were shorts folded up by someone. And there is supposedly hidden recorded footage at the scene of where Noah's body was found of someone, okay, someone, and I'm being not specific here for good reason, but yeah, some form of foul play taking place after Caden Pressey left the area. So we'll just leave it there for now at this moment. But the bit about being run over, I mean, all I've heard it as, whether it be by some of the experts, and not from the Reddit page, the unverified one, but like when we've seen articles, and now we've seen it mentioned on the Facebook pages and some of the key people that have been around for a while, saying based off the injuries, based off the brutality, it definitely looks like some kind of beating and possibly a murder. So yeah. Wild speculation on a possible theory. Noah Presgrove is caught with a girl he shouldn't have been with. He's threatened and needs to run. Grabs the closest two shoes and jets. The grass and debris get in his shoes as he's running. His perpetrator gets in a vehicle and starts to chase him down. Noah Presgrove trips. Perpetrator runs over his upper body with front and back tyres. He's mangled during this incident. Then disposal happens as mentioned above. He either loses his shorts whilst running, during the course of being ran over, during the course of being moved, or he was naked when he ran out of the house. Well, the only reason why, and I can at least clear this up to an extent, the only reason why Noah Presgrove was supposedly naked without shorts on him is foul play, tampering with the body and evidence. That when Noah Presgrove initially died, and when he was found at the side of the highway, before the witness Tyler Hardy, the truck driver, came on down, before that, but after 5:15 in the morning. So before 5:53, but after 5:15, when Caden Pressey, after being alerted by Jack about the death, went on down to the highway, saw Noah's body, saw that he was wearing black shorts. Then he was ordered by whoever to go back to the house. And in doing so, what happened then was whoever else was left at the scene of the body was secretly recording somebody else taking the shorts off Noah's body and then folding some nearby. Tampering, right, with the body. So what Caden Pressey saw at the time for him was true, but what the autopsy report states is somewhat true as well from their perspective, or the information that they've been given. But there's something in between, in the middle, that has tampered, right? As for the situation of Noah possibly being run over, chased down, cat and mouse, you know, there's a small chance, right? If there is any conflict, if there's any tension, arguments with one another, like Sir Jack Newton, like with Noah Presgrove, to add on with this wild speculation, which at least this person's worded it like that, so they're being clear and honest. If Noah Presgrove was caught with a girl in whatever way, flirting in however language, physical, and someone else found out about it, such as the boyfriend, such as Jack Newton, if it was the Carter Combs situation, you know, maybe there could be jealousy, maybe there could be a bit of anger and rage, and if there are drunk, increased anger, possibly. Noah leaving the place had enough, but, you know, even if Noah was acting a bit inappropriate or flirting with someone he shouldn't have been because his best friend is with that person, if that was the case, should Noah know better? Has he done it before? That's what you could ask yourself. I mean, what's so unique about this falling out at the party Saturday and Monday morning, early hours? What's so unique about this argument between the likes of Jack Newton and Noah Presgrove, and if there's anyone else in between? Because surely, in the past, it would have had other parties, and in the past, Noah may have been flirting with other girls or the same ones. So what was different this time round? What made the arguments, the falling outs, more unique this time round? That's a question which may have not been truly answered. I don't know if we will get an answer, but I thought I'd just bring it up for discussion. As for the injuries sustained to Noah, being mangled or run over by a vehicle, I mean, I guess it depends. Certain injuries could be caused by being run over, but other ones not so much. But in this case, this person isn't directly talking about a literal hit and run in the sense of a person's walking, crossing a road, and then a car whacks right into them, flips them up into the air, or rolls them over the vehicle. The shoes come off, the damage is sustained to legs. No, and this suggestion is that Noah's running away, and as he falls over, then the person driving runs over because they don't have enough time to stop, possibly, or they just think it's an opportunity to drive over the body. But still, would the legs have made contact with the legs? I mean, I guess it depends, because it depends how the person fell onto the ground. If they're sideways, horizontal, or facing vertical, may not connect with the wheels the same way. At a slight angle, might miss the legs, but the wheels go over the head. But, you know, because wheels are in line with one another and you're going in a certain direction, those wheels would go over either the head or the neck, but not the lower part of the back, maybe not so much the chest. To get in between centre point of the body with two lots of wheels going over the body, it just wouldn't cause that spreaded damage, if that makes sense, and the other slight injuries along the way. So I personally don't think that Noah was run over or hit by a vehicle. It still seems like he may have been beaten. That's my opinion. Seems the only thing I can come up with to account for what... Let's see what people have to say. Someone's responded. Number 1, Jack Newton hasn't explained anything that makes 1 ounce of sense. Story constantly changes, details constantly get moved about. I wouldn't trust anything Jack or Caleb, the father, has said publicly. Number 2, from what I understand, yes, a minor UTV accident occurred earlier in the evening. We're talking Sunday night, I'm assuming. Key word being minor. The UTV might have flipped and there were possible minor injuries to some of the people involved. Shower takes place after the UTV accident, as a couple of people, girls, helped Noah get clean from the said accident. From what I gathered, the help is because he is intoxicated, not because he has major injuries or is hurt. I mean, you know, just in general, you have a night out, you're a bit drunk, another person or a friend of a friend is there who isn't drunk, puts their arm around you or vice versa, so you guide them back home or guide them back to a taxi so they make it back safely. Because if you're a bit drunk, you're probably going to be lacking with the balance. You can't walk in a straight line. You could be a danger to yourself and maybe to other people if you were to walk out onto a road. Things like that. So I get that. You could imagine, oh, it tips over, the people come along, put the shoulders around Noah, or, you know, carry him, or drag, well, not quite drag him. Would he have been wearing shoes at the time of that ATV incident when it flipped over? Is that how he got the grass and debris in his shoes? Or was that after? I wonder. Being taken to the shower, but still, once again, what about the other people in the ATV that may have been injured slightly or not at all? Surely they would have got a bit dirty, just like Noah did. Why did Noah get the special treatment of being washed and, you know, being taken to the shower hand in hand by other people, almost like servants, not literally them? What about the other guys? Why didn't the other guys get the full treatment of, oh, we need a wash us down or something? Is it because the other guys weren't drunk? But how it's worded, most of the people were drinking alcohol there, so maybe they were all drunk to varying degrees. What else? What happens after these events is unclear. Noah seems okay, fine, because the group continues partying whilst he's looking for a ride back home into town. After there is a bunch of conflicting stories, retelling of events and timelines, my only hope is that the people involved, both directly and indirectly, the tragic death, are held accountable. Let me just ask a quick question. Anybody watching right now, anybody lurking in the background, watching from afar, you can answer down below in the comment section. It would be appreciated. Out of all the party footage, what we've seen, that compilation video, is everything in the correct order as how things played out over the days? I'm not too sure. Some people have said the footage of Noah in the khaki beige shorts is taken Saturday, And then the black shorts taken the footage on Sunday going into Monday early morning. If that being the case, in between that, when did the ATV accident happen? Sunday night, I'm guessing, or Saturday night? Can anyone clear that up? I know some people did clear it up, actually. Credit to them in the comment section, but the source wasn't given. You know, like if there was like a link to a timeline or a link to a post, an article, some kind of official statement, just to reinforce it. That's all, just to validate. And as well, my other question being, with that party footage, what we looked at, was any of that footage just after the ATV accident when it tipped over? If not, fair enough. But if there was any footage post-accident, how did he look? Worse for wear or not that bad? The reason why I asked that before or after is because the footage what I looked at, such as the Sunday night footage, Noah appeared to have marks on his left shoulder blade. Could be skid marks, maybe, or a Sharpie marker signature. But he most definitely had dirty patches on his black shorts. Like if he'd been rolling around in the dirt or fell on the ground, and if that was through the ATV, it would make sense, the order it being. But what it would also reinforce on that condition, that Noah didn't abruptly need a shower immediately because he was still having fun and playing a slap game with Brylan Sweat. So if anyone can answer that, the slapping between Brylan and Noah Presgrove, and Isaac in the background with Avery with that rifle, did that footage occur specifically before or after the ATV accident? If the footage happened after, it would make more sense, at least from what I visually saw. If it happened before, well then it kind of debunks things, but for clarity, for sake, it's needed. What else? Really sad case, yeah. In your theory, where are the tyre marks left behind on the body? I was run over by a four-wheeler, and although I wasn't hurt, there was black marks on my legs from the tyres. If I remember correctly, there was pooling of blood, lividity, on his back, but he was found on his side in a fetal position, so he died whilst on his back, so he must have been moved. Cousin ran me over, my arm, with a riding lawnmower, in the grass. Tyre tracks on it, crushed the bearing. Just turned the blade off and lifted the deck up. Mower would leave marks while travelling through grass. Why wouldn't a car travelling down a road? Yeah, to be honest, if you was run over on a road, more damage than if you was run over on some squishy grass just because of the absorption of it. The autopsy mentions black material and abrasions to upper back. It also mentions a pattern visible on the upper back, shoulder, left arm, torso and buttock, as well as skin slippage on the right. Does any of that match that? The abrasion on the upper back or a pattern visible on the shoulder area? Any of that description links to what we saw in the party footage where there was like a black mark on the back of him? A tyre mark tends to be black, doesn't it? Because of the colour of it, the rubber. Skin slippage, decomposition, question. Link above. In typical cases, a so-called décollement, separation of the integument from the underlying fascia, a combination of crush damage to the fatty tissue, indicates parts of the body are being contused by compressive and shearing forces of the wheel. Skin slippage can also be an indicator that someone was crushed beneath the wheel of a vehicle. Right. They washed the tyre marks with other evidence of the body. So, okay, saying that they washed this and they washed that, but do we have the proof? Do we have the footage? Do we have the photos? Do we have an official statement, a witness report of that happening? Because if we don't, it's limited. Is your theory he substantiated major injuries in the UTV accident and was washed off by the group, or that he was injured a second time and washed off by the perps? Yeah, second shower, I think that was brought up in the conversations recently on my chat, which is fair enough, I get that. One shower or wash could have been from that accident of the thing tipping over, which was harmless, no serious damage or injuries, just had a wash to clean up, freshen up. But then afterwards, something else happened. And washed again, but not alive. Unhappy. He was going with the fishing story. Others have said they were looking for Noah. They were looking for Noah. What? I've never heard that before. Not in terms of the time of when, after Jasmine made that post about Noah being missing. Number 2, I believe Kenny Pressey said he didn't remember the ATV accident. I've not seen him say anything about the shower. I mean, if he was asleep, he wouldn't know, would he? Crime of passion. What is the definition of a crime of passion? Is that like enjoyment? Overkill? You're very passionate about what you do, so you give it your all. And in the case of killing someone, it's like overkill. I wonder. What else do we have? Conflicts of interest and FBI. Is there a list somewhere of all the Ellie involved people who arrived on scene, had any scene discovery or investigative or medical analysis role? Is there a list of all these people and their associations with the partygoers, parents of partygoers? It's been noted that many of the LE and first responders have direct connections to kids and parents associated with the night of Noah's death, and this creates conflict of interest. Fair enough. If all the COI parties have been identified, has this information been sent to the FBI as a tip? If someone in this group is already privy to some of these players and their community connections that establish conflict of interest, would you be able to start that list? It's likely disqualifies those actors and the credibility of any work they've done on the case thus far. Maybe it can be submitted to FBI as a tip. Rooting out the people who still are in authoritative positions to hinder case progress is essential for integrity of the investigation. Okay, whole bunch of good old boy system stuff here. Small town, little bit of power and money, deadly combination. And as well, it doesn't always have to be the higher-ups, just a general public, the community that, you know, hang around and live there. They may all know one another. They may look out for one another. If anything happens within that town, to outsiders, they may never know because those within, tight-knit, keep closed mouths, maybe. Open records can be requested. Will this allow these over? Highly doubt it. I do not know of all the Ellie involved. There are people who responded to the scene that were part of the small town volunteer firefighter, Jefferson County Sheriff Officer, Oklahoma Highway Patrol, right? As far as I know, the local sheriff does not have a website, unlike most counties in Oklahoma. Obviously, there is a chance someone else has all the information, but I've spent a lot of time looking with no success. Here is Jeremiah Wilson's Sheriff of Jefferson County re-election campaign Facebook page. Right. DB gave it a thumbs up. Who's DB? Oh, she praised him for winning in a comment. Facepalm. Who the hell's DB? Does anyone know who DB is? Mention it down below as the initials. That'd be appreciated. That's about it there. Pretty bland. True crime episode. I don't know if that's like summarised or not. Robin, Noah's aunt, clarifies inconsistencies. How do we know that this is the aunt Robin? The Robin. What's her full name? Robin Smith. I know there is another bloody Robin, and that's with a different name, so you could get confused between the two, but what do we have here? By Cheap Caregiver. Robin Ants, and this was on Reddit as well. Professional what? I'm not too sure. She clarifies that Caleb Newton did not remove the guns per a post from Renee Milan. She's the one who removed the guns from the property. Right. Okay. I don't know if this is going to show up on screen because I've got the aspect ratio centered to the left. So this could be off screen. So apologies about that. But I will read it out to you from what I can see here. Noah's aunt. 2 minutes ago. Reddit name, handle, professional feed. So this person's full real name isn't here, but their title, their caption is Noah's aunt. So you could argue and say, this could be anyone. But I think when it comes to Reddit, you can't have your own real name or something, or people choose to be anonymous. But then again, that'd be a contradiction, because if you're being transparent and open, you would have your real name present. Unless Reddit doesn't allow that, and you've got to use a custom name, maybe. But the reason why it says Noah's aunt, because on Reddit you get flares, you get handles, you get titles, and if they're validated and confirmed in the background by moderators and you know who they really are, then their title can be appointed to them. So Noah's aunt. This is what Noah aunt has to say. Robin. There's just a few little inconsistencies in this one. Caleb Newton did not remove the guns from the property. Another parent did, which was Renee Millan, and brought them to Caleb Newton. Renee Millan got down there to the house at about 7 a.m. in the morning. Now, we can do a separate video on this. I might even get a screenshot right now. Give me a second. There we go. And it's important because the whole passing on of firearms to Caleb Newton, of all people. Interesting. What else? His shoe was not a slip-on, it was a lace-up. Of course. He actually drove home Sunday morning. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. He actually drove home Sunday morning, took a shower, slept, and was picked up around 5 in the morning. Really? And his wallet has still not been found, to our knowledge. He bought a new iPhone and his own phone plan that Friday. So if there was any money in it, it would have been minimal. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I did hear about Saturday being at the party, but how it was worded and how it's always been worded without any corrections up until now, that Noah left the party on Saturday or Saturday night. But to say that Noah drove home Sunday morning, I mean, in fairness, if Noah was at the party most of the day on Saturday and then it got to night time, crossing into the early hours of Sunday morning, yeah, I understand that. And then getting back, taking a shower to wash off, I guess, the Sharpie pens, all that writing on his body, which would time with that party footage of what we saw where he was wearing those khaki-coloured beige shorts on the Saturday, and having that argument with his friend Jack at the party in the khaki shorts, then leaving. But this is interesting. Okay, took a shower, slept, and then was picked up at his own house at around 5 in the morning. So he didn't really have much time to get back home and sleep, did he? Not much. He didn't have much sleep. So by the time he made it back to the party on the Sunday, 5 a.m. onwards, how much energy would he have had? Not that much. Not really. And take in mind, from the party down to where he lives, it would have taken 42 miles. Now, I don't know in terms of time how long that actually takes, but it's still a fair bit of distance, right? And, you know, this is 100% true from what Noah's aunt has said here on Reddit. The reason why it's so important and interesting is the pattern it gives off. Yes, we've seen or we've heard that on Saturday there was a falling out between Noah and Jack Newton. And that's one of the main reasons what caused Noah to leave the party. Just so happened that he had his own vehicle at that time, which he could use to get back home. That was successful. But the next time when Noah left for the very last time was Monday morning through another argument, supposedly, with Jack Newton. Consistent, right? Argument falling out Saturday, argument falling out Monday, both result in Noah leaving the party. Doesn't sound healthy, doesn't sound positive. But now that if it was around the time of when Noah was driving home and it was Sunday morning, then it would mean when Noah left on Saturday, it must have been really late at night on Saturday, which is almost maybe getting on to the same time as like on the Monday where it was getting late going into the early hours of Monday morning. What is it about having falling outs and arguments so late at night or really early hours of the next morning where it's dark, it's quiet, you could be vulnerable, limited street lamps? Do you see the pattern? Why did it happen at the same or close to the same time from Saturday and on Monday? What the hell's going on there? We'll do a separate video on this, right? If anyone can confirm this, right? This may have been mentioned on Facebook as well. It's just because the real name isn't mentioned here because it's on Reddit, so I don't know how much I can trust it. But if anyone can validate or reinforce that this is true, this person's genuine, and it is the real aunt, then I'll do a separate video about it. Okay, leave your comments down below. What do we have? Lemon. No matter why they would feel the need to remove all the guns, it's rural Oklahoma. People have guns, and why out of all people would they give them to Caleb Newton? Yeah. Stevie Howard, LA and JJ. I don't know who LA and JJ is. If you know the names, leave them down below in the comment section under this video. It would be appreciated. But those 3 individuals own, supposedly, a hunting guide tour company. They literally take people on guided hunts on the properties. Stevie Howard knows how to handle guns, so it could not be because she didn't know how to handle them safely. Even I can see hunting pictures on their Facebook pages without an account. To add, if the parents knew enough that they needed to clear the guns, they knew enough to clean up the scene. Who in the hell do they think they are kidding? Yeah, you know, you think the death of someone and then you know that there's firearms present at the scene where Noah was last seen, and then onwards who knows what happened. But you know, you think death, firearms, we don't know the injuries just yet, we don't know the cause of death just yet, we've not seen the body ourselves, but upon hearing that news and knowing that guns were taken down to the property, maybe we shouldn't touch anything. But if this links back to us or links back to my children, whoa, we better do something about it. Dodgy, right? What else? Cheap caregiver. These are very good questions. I really want to know what was the reason for removing the guns, in my opinion. That's tampering with potential evidence. I mean, it's a fair point, isn't it? You know, people in the background knows that the party could rule out and say, oh, there was no link at all, they wouldn't have been used, they didn't move, they weren't touched, none were missing at the time, nothing to see here. But still, a firearm is a firearm and can be used as a weapon against both animals and humans. And it just so happens that there is a death of somebody not far away. You could link one with the other. And even if it wasn't used, just a standard procedure of don't touch anything, don't incriminate yourself. If you are innocent, you've got nothing to hide, you don't need to clean up, you don't need to touch anything at all. What else? Be kind. I'd say because there was obviously drinking and there was a law against handling firearms whilst drinking in Oklahoma. Fair enough. But what if the people brought the firearms down sober, left them at the house, then got drunk but did not touch any? Even though Isaac was clearly holding one, I don't know if he was drunk or not, he could get in trouble. And then the firearms were left at the house. Would you still be in trouble? If you handle firearms when sober and then place them down wherever and then get drunk, but you don't touch those firearms till you get sober again, is that a crime? Anyway, from my understanding, the guns were removed as well as beer cans, alcohol traces to avoid social hosting charges for the people throwing the party. There are 2 of the elements listed in the statute that creates the foundation for charging individuals under this law. You actually see that reference to the channel art banner of the Noah Presgrove's army page. Interesting, one would think they would have a safe, but you know, these people do not care about anyone except themselves. Yeah, like a gun safe. I mean, even if they had a gun safe, you probably need a massive wardrobe depending on how many firearms were taken down. And were they all the same firearms, of the same caliber, or did it differ? I wonder. What's it with these posts? Get me off! Oh my goodness, if you don't get off, I'm going to turn into a country voice again. Oh no, don't do that. I don't want those banners popping up where you can't get rid of them. Was there anything else then? Inconsistencies between Jasmine Milan and the mother, Renee Milan. Well, we can look at that post. We've done it before already, so we don't need to go over it right now, but we can always use this post and compare it with what Robin says here. Link it together. Partners in crime. Is this like a summary? Could be. Let's just have a quick look. What happened to Noah Presgrove Series 5, Episode 4. Air date June 25th, 2024. 1 hour long guest, Jodie Barth. That's an unfortunate last name. 33-year police veteran and former deputy coroner in Illinois. They discuss the autopsy theories and speculate on what might have caused his death. No new information from the family. That seems to be a bit of a reoccurring theme. Oh my god, look, we got a new episode coming out, new series, everybody gather up right now. Yeehaw, let's go guys, let's go. Oh, and by the way, no news updates. Oh, that fell flat. I've heard it a few times now. Anyway, let's move on. Jodie said he had many catastrophic injuries, Noah. Crushing blunt force type of injuries. No post-mortem injuries. He might have been conscious, but his injuries were sustained at the same time, not some injuries and then more injuries sometime later. If his body was moved, it was done so shortly after his death. She's very interested in his livor mortis. It was set on his posterior side and how/where he was found in the roadway. Livor mortis begins after about 15 minutes. If he was moved after, it's set in there would be signs on the body. Right, so you got like 15-minute period to move the body about. And to be honest, if Noah was last seen at the party house and then he's found 1 mile up the highway north, you can get from the party house to the road in 15 minutes easily, especially by vehicle, right? By walking, not so much. If you're going to be disposing of a body and moving it, you're naturally going to be using a vehicle. It's more efficient and less dodgy looking to the general public. She said if he was hit by a car or truck, she would have expected some broken glass, metal, tyre tracks or tread marks, but none are indicated. She also said it's common in collisions, even inside the car, to have your shoes knocked off. The fish-like shaped 4x2 laceration on his skull, she said, could indicate the shape of a tool that might have caused that injury. And not seeing his crime scene photos, she wouldn't rule out a rifle or golf club. She also shared a laceration in an medical examiner's report or expert's report. Usually means blunt force, not an incision, cut type injury. The various shaped abrasions all over his back and buttocks makes her think at some point he was dragged over the terrain. His extremities weren't as damaged as his skull and torso. If it was a beating, it had to have been a brutal non-stop beating, as so many of his bones were broken, his injuries being 360 degrees. She found unusual for an accident or even something nefarious. So that'll be on YouTube, that podcast. Thanks for posting. Just something to keep in mind, livor mortis, also known as lividity, often shows up within an hour of death, doesn't become fixed in position until several hours after death. The exact timing depends upon a lot of factors, temperature, amount of blood loss, etc. The body is repositioned during that time, such as being rolled over to assess vital signs, etc. Right? She still thinks it could be a beating and definitely believes in dragging. Why don't you? You said something about not seeing the shape that would be the result of a specific blunt object, such as a baseball bat, golf club, or not seeing a pattern throughout the body. Also, Joseph said on a podcast that falling from a vehicle 3 to 4 times would indeed explain. Why'd you be falling 3 to 4 times over and over again? Oh no. Opening maps shown up. Oh, I didn't know it. This was opening map. This is supposedly the poster boy or poster person that's bowed down to on Reddit, I think. Whatever. Because I interpreted the evidence available me based upon my education, experience and judgment, there are no demonstrably patterned injuries that indicate a weapon was used. There is a pattern of injuries and that fits with a single, very forceful impact with a solid rough surface followed by the body tumbling to a stop. I've seen someone who was dragged on pavement, albeit from a stupid stunt by some kids gone wrong rather than foul play. I've seen plenty more folks who skidded to a stop after being ejected from a car, laid a motorcycle down, etc. This doesn't look like the former, which were far more extensive, both in terms of the amount of severity of what Noah had. It looks a tremendous amount like the latter. The multiple fall thing is just so laughably false. I still can't believe he actually suggested that with a straight face. I guess maybe he felt like he had to offer something unique, make his narrative stand out from several other podcasts that covered the case. Okay. Is that going to load up or not? Nope. We should always keep an open mind to every theory. I keep seeing so many people pushing a narrative where it's almost like they want it to be his friends that beat him to death. Agreed, especially in the Facebook groups. It's complete tunnel vision. It's actually scary that people are so fast to say someone's guilty when we literally don't even know half the evidence. So this person's basically referring to the Noah Presgrove's Army Facebook page, basically. This person called Opening Map is that unverified expert, at least at the time of when I checked. And to be honest, I think that title has been taken off Opening Map now, because I can't see it mentioned anymore, which is even more interesting. Unless it's because he's not the original poster here, his title doesn't show up. That would be your explanation. But Opening Map is that forensic anthropologist, former coroner that spoke out recently that suggested that injuries sustained to Noah Presgrove was more so accidental, that there wasn't any foul play, nothing odd going on, and he may have fallen out of the moving vehicle and landed headfirst onto the ground, which was a chain reaction of injuries caused, which followed, and then bumping on the ground led to a stop. Yeah. You can watch it here on YouTube. Solid write-up, podcast discussion. Appreciate all your efforts. The various shaped abrasions all over his back and buttocks makes I think at some point he was dragged. I really hope the PI has the autopsy pictures. So the crime scene was definitely cleaned up. How else could there have been so little blood found? Ooh, don't be talking about little blood found, because Map might come back saying, come on, man, you gotta know, man, this is where it happened. What else? Me too, but it doesn't seem like they have any luck with access to anything since it's an open investigation. Dalen, the brother, said they were going to request the photos. I can't imagine having to request my little brother's death photos in order to try and understand. Are you talking about photos of the autopsy, the body at the autopsy place, or actually photos taken at the scene of the crime, or the scene of the accident, whatever you want to call it? I don't believe Ellie will release photos of Noah to anyone. The opportunity to leak them to social media is extremely high. But you know, if you get Zavgirl, I'm sure Zavgirl could leak a few photos here and there. No, sorry, you got to have a paywall. Anyway, excuse someone. I'm tired of people trying to push any narrative that diminishes the role of the guilty parties. I believe he was beaten on the party property by several male cowards and dragged a short distance by an ATV pickup to get him off the property. A story about Noah walking off being mad he didn't get to sleep in a girl's bed may be true. Who was the boyfriend of that girl? Well, wasn't it Carter Combs? Several young males were still awake and being active that late. Oh, 2 people have disliked the comment. So, was he beat with their fist? What about drag marks when clearly his autopsy does not reflect that? It does say road rash though, which would mean contact with the ground, some kind of dragging or friction. Just wondering why so many are dismissing the actual autopsy findings. That's like saying someone drowned to death with no water in their lungs. Well, not exactly, but as a matter of fact, that's reminded me of the Riley Strain situation. Was it in Tennessee, in which he was kicked out of a bar, may have been drunk, possibly spiked, walking back by himself, making it back to the hotel but never getting that far, walking past a homeless encampment near to, I think it was a river, and fast forward onwards, was later found in the river, but there was no water found in the person's lungs. The person actually passed away on land, but still somehow ended up in water. Not that it links to or is a counter to what Buttercup says here, but it just reminded me of the situation. What else? We got lesbian. Interesting. And the other thing that's weird about the AR, assault rifle is I don't think it mentioned, oh no, I must be talking about something else, bloody abbreviations. I think it mentioned if his spinal cord was still functional intact, his neck was broken in several places and so was his back. When his C1 was crushed, would that stop his heart and respiration immediately? I believe he was internally decapitated. Spinal cord was completely severed. Death would be within minutes as there is no longer any communication from the brain with the diaphragm, so it would stop breathing. I'm almost positive they did a rape kit, which was negative, but I agree this was totally half-ass job. I mean, when we talk about, oh, why are we discrediting the autopsy? I mean, if the autopsy says one thing and Caden Prezi says the other, well, clearly something has gone on somewhere, right? Like with the short situation. It's really frustrating because every single scenario I can think of, someone else suggests doesn't explain all the injuries. I was confused by certain aspects of Jodie Barth's theories. But as she said several times, without pictures it's impossible to know. She seems to think a horrific sustained beating took place, but then seems to suggest it could conceivably be an accident. I really would have liked a Q&A for this interview. I was left with more questions than answers. Well, it just goes to show that podcasts aren't always the be-all and end-all. The descriptions by the ME of the injuries are cursory at best, not offering exact dimensions, locations for any of them. So the abrasions Jodie thinks are from jagging, which don't need directional experts. I would agree with each other, not if they were from separate blows or shoves, like shoved off somewhere. And I don't have high hopes for the quality of the photos once released either. The report is the example. I don't know if they read a more abbreviated, sloppy autopsy report. Did they even do the kit? I don't think so. I agree. The PC don't really... Well, they did do a kit, didn't they? They said that on that report, the autopsy. What I got from the podcast, what she was trying to say, it could be any number of things, but the podcasters were pushing that it could only be a beating. From the autopsy report, bottom of page 3, swabs, oral, penile, anal, hair, scalp, pubic hair, fingernail clippings, photographs were obtained. They did a rape kit. And not much was found. Let's go back to the top. You know, I'm just catching up on these conversations. Post from Dalen. Right, so this might be the last one. What do we have here? Speaks on News Nation. Links below. I wouldn't look at the link personally because News Nation had some weird thing saying copyright. You're not allowed to use it. You're not allowed to distribute it. You're not allowed to repost it. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Don't know why they're so strict, to be honest, but there you go. So Noah Presgrove, the brother of Noah Presgrove, said April 30th, 2024. A few things I want to clarify. Since this video, well, I'm assuming this is 2024. Made that clear. Like, should be, yeah. A few things I want to clarify. Since this video has surfaced, which video? Have made grand leaps in assumptions. We appreciate the support and attention to the situation. The OSBI are working on the case and I'm hopeful that the time spent has not been wasted. I mentioned in the interview that I do not easily believe that Noah was beaten. However, hit and run incident does not seem plausible with the evidence provided. Okay. With that being said, if an accident has occurred and not reported, then it's still considered unjust and foul play towards Noah. Jack and I are not at odds. Our interviews were each of great length and only partial portions of the interviews are shown. If we have different theories on the situation, then it is the same as the many of the people who have voiced their own opinions of the situation. Please keep that in mind when considering our statements. Much is still unclear and I'm open to anything law enforcement, medical examiners and investigators have to say. In regards to the many theories that have surfaced, leading many to take extreme action, and sentiments towards others around the situation, I hope that whatever the official conclusion is, that we respect the content of the answer. I also hope that we reach whatever. There you go. Response-wise. Okay, there's the interview there with the link. Maybe I'll take a look at some point. Dalen's amazing, well spoken. I hope that this doesn't go another day unsolved. We got Jam, the Jam sandwich. Shout out to them. What you all said. That was from April 30th. Yeah, pretty much it. What video? UTV-ATV was sold right after, correct, and never investigated, nor was the property. Yeah, I think it was UTV-ATV rollover or accidental run over, and they simply moved the body off the property. Just because people change their stories doesn't imply he was beaten or changed, possibly cause of death. They're changing their stories simply to try and fill the holes of what has led so much questioning in this case that weren't considered when they decided to move the body, not report due to severe charges. And just because they weren't car debris or blood pooling at the body location doesn't rule out that he was hit or in rollover with the UTV because they were never investigated at property. So not sure how anyone can say that the absolute certainty. Then add in kids already mentioned and suggested he was run over, and also stated there was a rollover at the party. To me, they're already revealing partial truths between the lines, and if they did move his body due to such accident off the property, it would make absolute sense they'd move him to the highway nearby so as to keep cause of death consistent with what likely really happened and consistent with he could have walked to the highway distance-wise to still imply some cause of death so that it would match the injuries from what really happened and leave less questioning. I mean, to be honest, let's just say somehow there was the ATV accident, and that did cause the death somehow, or an equivalent, and it happened on site on the property. And without changing anything, they just changed the location of where the body was found at. Just said there wouldn't be any questioning and there wouldn't be any searches done on the property and no one would get in trouble. I saw a comment yesterday, someone saying how there was talks about the property of the party house being demolished, knocked down. Kind of caught me off guard, that. Where's the proof? I've not seen any. Any links? References? No. But that's what someone said last night in the chat. Just wanted to relay that in case you didn't know. What else is mentioned here? All they really changed was the location time. Yeah, removed evidence with showering and close to remove any party goers or adult host, but there is that hidden footage there after 5:15 of manipulation, tampering with the body after it's been dumped at the scene. So why still then? If things were cleaned up, sorted out earlier, and then disposed of elsewhere, you think job done, and yet there was still unfinished business, which is a bit weird. My mum accidentally ran over a man left in the road drunk late at night, but she didn't see, and it killed him. Then recently, another one of my close family members hit and killed a cyclist late at night who was drunk biking in all the dark. What was suggesting here about there's a lot of people in your family that kill? Obviously, not to be taken out of context though, in seriousness. Then I had a friend accidentally run over and kill our friend's child. Bloody hell, how many people are running others over? Anyway, let's move on. That's pretty much it. Interesting. See, a bit unrelated. It's unrelated, but when it came to true crime communities, and I don't know if you'd call the Noah Presgrove a true crime case, there's like, it's still a bit of a mystery. And it's not really treated as like a crime by the eyes of the police, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately, in the eyes of those who think it's foul play and true crime related. But just in general, when I've seen true crime cases, it does attract, it brings in former criminals, which is a bit weird. I saw it in the Dylan Rounds case, almost everyone had a bloody mugshot. I don't think that applies here though, which is good to see, it's refreshing. Come on, there we go. Do we have any other stuff? Not from looks like coincidence. Reddit warriors conquer performance anxiety with hymns. Erectile dysfunction treatments are discreet and convenient solution has your back. Order now and unleash your inner champion. Have spontaneous morning sex. Sorry, what's that got to do with this? I don't think so. Yeah, random.